Alright guys, today I've got quite a challenge for this little tool that Lockpicking Lawyer and I put together. And that would be this guy. This is the Kryptonite Evolution model 1090, and they rate this guy 8 out of a possible 10. And I've got to say, I agree. This is a great lock, and I think you'll agree too when we take a look at some of the details. It is a disc detainer, and right away you can see how tiny, how narrow those discs are. So pick tip placement becomes quite a challenge. You'll also notice the length of this, quite long, because the locking mechanism is buried all the way in the back of this bad boy. Take a look inside of there, rotate it 180 degrees, and then we get an open. Now you'll notice there's a hardened steel locking bar that pops out of there, and he fits in between this center reinforced piece of 3T manganese steel. It's hex shaped, 10 millimeters in diameter. Really, really tough stuff. This thing sells for between 85 and 90 bucks on Amazon. I think it's worth every penny, not just for the chain, but for this lock. Let's talk a little bit about the lock. Lockpicking Lawyer and I designed this as a top of the keyway tool. And that by top of the keyway, it means that the first disc is the one that you tension on, and it is also the disc that will allow you to rotate the disc to the unlock position, the entire pack, after you've picked everything to the correct gate. They also make back of the keyway, or rear key of the keyway tensioners. Same thing, except from the rear, the back one is the tensioner, and the back one is also the one that allows you to rotate the entire core once you've picked everything to the correct gate. These Kryptonite guys have put some tricky stuff in here. This is an anywhere tensioner, which means I can tension it from any disc I want to pick all of the discs to the correct gate. But only one of these discs will allow you to rotate the entire core in order to get an open. It may be the first disc, it may be the last disc, or it can be any of those discs in between. Normally it is almost always it will be a zero cut disc. It wouldn't make sense to pick something counterclockwise and then have it be the tensioning disc. That would make no sense at all. So when you pick these, keep track of which discs are 0-bit, because one of them will be your tensioning disc and your open disc. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to use this tool to tension from the top disc, just like we always do. And I'm going to use the tip of it to pick everything, hopefully, to the correct gate. Once I've got that done, that tells me only one disc has not been picked, and that will be disc number 1 that I'm using to tension. At that point, I'm going to take my pick tip, place it on one of the discs that's at 0-bit, because it has to be the tensioner. That will then become my tensioner as I rotate him. Then I will back up disc number 1, and hopefully at some point he will fall into his gate and we will get an open. That's the theory anyway. All right, let me adjust the length of the tip of this pick, and let's see if we can't get this Kryptonite Evolution Series 4 cracked open. All right, I think I got the length on that just about right. Let's go ahead and rotate our discs all the way clockwise and do a visual just to make sure they're all lined up, and looks like they are. All right, I'm going to line up the tip of my pick with the 2 tensioning prongs and pinch it right here. Hold everything together while I carefully slide it in there, hopefully without disturbing any of those discs. Get in there. There you go. All right, let me zoom in a little. And before I start picking, I'll shove it all the way to the rear, then apply tension. And let's start backing it out, see if we can find a binding disc. There's one right there. I don't think he's in a gate. I'm going to push him back and just keep moving down the stack. We come back to him later. That's the second one. Okay, I felt a little give there. I believe we're in a gate. Okay, I believe we're in a gate there. Okay, I felt a give on the core, little turn. I think that also is a gate. He's crunching all the way around. I believe when I push him right there in the 0 position, I believe that's his gate. So that would be a good possibility as our tensioner, our tensioning disc. I believe that's a good possibility as well. Let's double check this guy. Okay, I don't believe that's zeroed. That's something less than 0, so we'll keep that. Let's double check, everybody. Definitely a gate. Definitely a gate. Definitely a gate. Nice little turn on the core there. All right, let's go back all the way up the top here and find our 0 gated one, which was right there. Let's apply tension to him with our pick. So our pick becomes our tensioner, and our former tensioner becomes our pick. Now I'm going to rotate the tensioner, or the former tensioner, until disc number 1's gate lines up. And I felt the turn everything together, and we have an open. All right, guys, that's how you use this top of the keyway tensioner to pick disc locks that have tensioner discs in other locations. It takes a little bit more patience than it did before, but now that we know how these Kryptonite devils are designing these things, we figured out how to beat them. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal. I've produced over 200 videos a year for the last several years and would really appreciate your support. All I'm asking is you subscribe, click on the like button for each video, and share them on social media. That's it. Thanks, guys.